This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everybody. It is a chilly 12 degrees here at Djuma Private Game Reserve, but not bad. Good morning. Hope you're all warm where you are. Daz and I are trying our hardest to stay warm. But we've got Lauren with us this morning on Djuma, Japi at Ngala, JP at Pridelands, and Pete at Phinda. So please pour yourselves a nice strong coffee and jump on board as we go live on a safari in the African bush. Like I say, it's chilly, but we're just sitting here on quarantine. We had a brief view of a side-striped jackal. Morning, my name's John T. We've got Dazza on the camera. We heard lions roaring off to the south, but our plan is actually to go see if we can find Tavangumi this morning. So we had that report of him last night, so we're going to go check some of his usual haunts and see if we get lucky. But right now, it's so cool to just watch this sunrise developing, the color that's touching these clouds. Beautiful marula tree in the foreground. You might hear another vehicle coming past, starting their morning drive. Wonder what their plans. Morning! Yeah, everyone is bundled up properly. Beanies and scarves. The lions are calling now. I just caught the end of it, but it's quite difficult to hear with that vehicle running. But I just caught the tail end of a roar. It is a great thing in the mornings to get out early, sort of like we were just before the sun breaks the horizon, to take a pot of coffee and some biscuits or rusks and just sit, for sort of 15 minutes or so, 20 minutes, and just listen. And often the animals will give you a good indication where to start your day. So just before we went live, I did radio the other vehicles to say we had heard the lions in that direction. So I'm sure some of the vehicles will follow up while we just watch this magical sunrise. You can have a look at the weather at the other locations.
Good morning and welcome to andBeyond Ngala, where this morning we are once again driving the Timbabati riverbed. I'm Yafi, behind the camera we've got Paul, and we've dropped down into the riverbed just to go past the area where we saw the leopard last night, see if maybe we might have some light. And see if the other leopard is still in the area. We haven't found any fresh signs at this point, so what we might do this morning is continue from here to the central parts of the reserve and see if we can pick up on any signs of a herd of buffalo. Now, This morning is very cold here in Ngala, especially down here in the riverbed. So there's not been too much activity, but the signs is all left throughout the night in the sand. And there's lots of tracks of small little critters like the civet that's been moving up and down all night, as well as the white-tailed mongoose. And even saw some tracks of a honey badger. And then, of course, the one creature that we see always that's been moving everywhere and probably got a good head start on us on finding anything this morning is the hyena. Now, where we are, not far from us, up on this bank to my right, is a small little watering hole. And now that things have started to dry out properly, I can even see the change in the grass clearly, and which is quite a contrast to the blue sky later in the day. The animals are starting to move down this way to come and have a drink. And also this area, the sand in the river is quite low down because it's in a big bend. And just have a look at that beautiful sunrise there in the distance. And that is spectacular. The sunrise, the sunset, those are two of my favorite parts of the day. And it's also the part of the morning where a lot of animals, they actually anticipate this and they move out into the open, try to warm up a little bit. Often found in the mornings, up on the high banks of the riverbed, you find some kudu or impala on the termite mounds, just waiting for that sun's warm rays to fall on them. It's also always good just to stop and have a little bit of a listen out. Listen if there's any alarm calls, listen if there's any animals calling, like the hyena or the lion. At this point, the nocturnal animals might still be active, and it's a good time to get a little bit of a little glimpse of some of the rare, less often seen animals. Now, there was a very small forecast for rain this morning, which I highly doubt will happen today, and I'm pretty sure within the next hour or two, things will warm up properly. But I think what we might do from here is continue. Around the next bend, there's quite a lot of water still in the riverbed. And therefore a good starting point for the morning. Now I do notice some tracks of buffalo bulls that has been moving through this area, and I think they come down because there's a lot of green grass on the banks here. Most of these grasses grow in the shade, and they generally have higher protein levels. And there's a lot. The buffalo bulls, due to their variation in their diet from the rest of the herd, they move in and around these areas. And then once the herds start moving through, you'll see a concentration of them, and they might form small groups in this area and move up and down from the nearby mud wallows into the riverbed. And there's a lot of small little puddles hidden away in and amongst these tall grasses as well as the reeds. And what we often struggle with is actually catching a glimpse of anything that might be moving here. But while we continue our search this morning, we'll head over to Lauren, who'd like to say hello.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Team Wendy, the other half of the Djuma Private Game Reserve feeds. We are just watching the golden embers of that fire in the sky. Can you hear that? That's not me, that's the lions. My name is Lauren. I do have Dobby on camera. That sounds very close. Okay, I just want to quickly show you Tlalamba's kill. She's definitely feasted on it since yesterday. That diker is almost done. So she came back during the night. She's been feeding during the night, and I don't see any signs of her. It's repositioned as well. I couldn't see his face yesterday, so she's completely repositioned it and had a good old munch. I think the sawing that we heard was Tlalamba, and I ended up finding Tandy. So I don't quite know where she is, but let's go and check out that audio. We could possibly have some lions today. So as I bumble through the bush, no, you're not going anywhere, you're staying with me. That's absolutely fine. We're in a bit of a tricky spot, so we're going to go down here, Da'af. Might come back at some point. I don't know how to get out of here. Hold on. Where does that path take you, Dobby? All the way out? Yeah, I think we should. Really? Okay, Dobby thinks the lion's right here, but we learned yesterday that the cold weather plays a huge trick on you. But let's check. Let's check anyway. Okay, as I try and find that, we are going to send you back across to John.
Oh, Lauren, it's a pleasure for that little sneaky tidbit of information I slipped her while she was having her morning coffee. But that is awesome. I hope she finds them. I wonder who it is. We are now just checking along this road to see if there's any tracks of anything in interest. But like I said, our target initially is going to be Tabangumi. We would love to see him. Just keep checking for tracks here. But please remember to send in your questions and comments using the hashtag WildEarth on Twitter, at FC on YouTube. And if you're under the age of 18, please register on the website. Mail us kids questions at wildearth.tv. You can register on the WildEarth website. Head over. You can register on the WildEarth. And you can submit your questions there. So I'm just going to turn off here with this bit of a view down to the south and just listen again and see what else we can hear. I just want to listen out here and see what we can hear. believe it. An old friend of mine arrived this morning, Herbert, who I haven't seen since 2009, and he rocked up at the WildEarth camp. Very good to catch up with him, and that was him just driving past. There's an impala snorting off in the distance. Oh, my binoculars, I messed it up. No good. Mark, they say that humans can hear it sort of up to, or anywhere between 6 and 8 kilometers that we would pick it up. And there's a few factors in that depending. So like on a very cold, clear, still winter's night, you'd probably hear it closer to the 8 kilometer range. And if it depends where the lion is as well, if it's on top of a hill or if it's in a valley or in a drainage line. But it certainly can carry. It's an unbelievable sound. So we're going to listen here for a few more minutes, and you're going to head over to Phinda.
Well, good morning and welcome to andBeyond Phinda, everyone. We've just found a lioness with 4 young cubs and a male that's just on the road up ahead. Quite interesting how they just keeping an eye on each other. Look at the cub now approaching from the side. Just going up to dad there. Yo! So awesome. My name is Pete, and behind the camera this morning we have Johan, and we've got a lovely, cool morning here at Phinda. We're going to try and see if we can keep up with these lions. Beautiful pride. This lioness with her 4 cubs hasn't actually been seen in about a week. They've been in quite a strange area, and we're so excited to be with them. It was quite interesting. Dad just carried on moving past. He seems to be on a bit of a mission, a bit of a territorial patrol at the moment. And it'll be interesting to see if Mom's going to carry on following behind the dominant male. This is the dominant male of the south. Just a reminder, we are on a private game reserve and there are other vehicles around. Look at that one cub just playing with Dad. Dad not so happy with that. Look at this playing around there. So lovely and cool this morning that they're really having a good time. What's going on? He doesn't really want them too close. Let's see if we can keep up with them. Yes, what a way to start our morning. Look at Dad. Not so sure if we can hang up against the tree there. So we're going to see what happens with these lions, and we're going to send you off to JP, who's going to say good morning.
Good morning and welcome to WildEarth. We are live at Eco Training Pridelands and about to start our bushwalk. Enjoying a sunrise. And we were just discussing how clouds actually make such a beautiful sunrise. My name is JP LaRue, and behind the camera we've got Craig. So our plans from this morning is to take a walk from here and go and see what we can go and find. And meanwhile, we're going to provide you an opportunity to enjoy the same beautiful sunrise which we are experiencing at the moment. So clouds are coming in quite quickly from the south as well as from the east. So it seems that we're going to have a little bit of change of weather. However, this morning is considerably warmer compared to the other mornings. And it's a lovely 12 degrees Celsius out here. We hope that things are going to warm up a little bit later so that we can go and visit the dams with the hope of some elephants coming to come and have a drink. We're going to hand you over to Lauren and go and see what she has on offer for this morning.
We found our princess. Apparently, that male lion is walking right towards this kill. We didn't see him. Another vehicle has found him. Don't know which male lion it is. And it's been radioed in that he's coming right towards this kill. Now, I can smell that duiker. It's really not pleasant. So we're just going to sit tight here. We're not going to move. Kalamba's there. We heard that lion. He sounded really close. And he's on the move. And I wonder if he can smell this kill. Kalamba will run away, don't worry, do not worry. But the lion might jump up and she may lose her breakfast. She'll be able to hear him long before we can. She'll have heard him calling. She'll be hyper aware that there's a lion around. I wonder if he will make it here. Lions steal from leopards regularly. If they're hungry, it's an easy meal, opportunity. They've just got to have enough energy to pull that extremely heavy body up the tree. Now, the report was that the lion's on the southern side, so he's on the opposite side to Kalamba and to us. So we're just going to sit tight here and see what happens. You see her ears moving? Her hearing will be far better than ours, extremely acute. To roam, yes, they do. We've seen it many times. It's not commonplace like it is for leopards. Leopards are technically classified as arboreal. But they do. And it's quite interesting to watch because male lions are huge. Really heavy animals with lots of muscles. So they also do have huge scapula, shoulder blades, lots of muscles. They can pull their own body weight up a tree. They're just not as elegant as leopards. And it takes energy, of course. But if he comes here, smells the duiker, I think he will definitely climb this tree. I mean, I can smell it, and I have meager human nostrils. So I imagine a predator would be able to smell this from far. Okay, we're going to sit tight here. You never know what happened. This male lion might eventually come for Kalamba's kill.
Today is no ordinary day. We have many people on the vehicle. We have Dawn Rial here and we have Miss Gabby. They are holders of the Ticket to Dream.
It's a very special opportunity for us and a learning experience for Gabby.
My favorite is the wild dog because it's like painted a little bit.
If you want to go on safari with a WildEarth guide, whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
My most favorite part about WildEarth is I have learned so many things and I have become interested in so many things that I never even knew about.
I'm going to ask my friends and my whole class, even my teacher, to go on safari.
We wanted to buy a Ticket to Dream because we wanted our family to have this as a special time in our lives that we can always look back and reflect on. This is a dream to be here.
Across Southern and East Africa, the Endangered Wildlife Trust works tirelessly to save species, protect critical habitats, and benefit people. Join the EWT in returning wildlife to the wild. Go to ewt.org.za to find out more and follow our socials to see how you can get involved. Protecting forever, together.
My name is Ross and I'm a field guide at andBeyond Phinda Private Game Reserve. I love getting questions from guests on WildEarth because I love sharing and learning information about nature with new people, and it also makes me feel like you're all joining me in real life. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, go to our live safari page and submit your question below our live feed.
Guys, just watch what's happening. See, watch the elephants, watch the lions. See, the first ones to run are the cubs. Can you see them? They are right here. I'm not sure how scared you were, but I was quite nervous. But absolutely incredible.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
No changes so far. Haven't heard this lion call again. But it was very close. I mean, you all heard it. He may not appear here after all, but it's definitely worth sitting tight and seeing what happens. Winter is a time for predators to clash. Yesterday on Djuma, we had 2 female leopardesses. Tavangomi was found towards the end of the evening. Talamati Pride and the wild dogs, all on Djuma. That's incredible. And that's just what we know about. The predator density is high. Interspecific interactions are going to happen a lot more. It's cold, they're hungry, resources are a little bit lower. Klepto-parasitizing from one another is going to be really, really common. Hyenas will steal from the leopards. Lions will steal from the leopards. Hyenas will try and steal from the lions, as we saw the other night at Ngala. Everyone will be stealing from one another. But Kalamba looks like she's just going to sleep. We need him to call again to try and gauge where he is. Anna, you're seeing quite the tense moment, I know. We didn't see her at first, we could just hear the lion. Then we managed to spot Kalamba. But leopards are extremely agile, flexible, light on their feet, especially a female. If any male lion shows, she will just run. She won't put herself in any sort of danger. And he, if he arrives, will just head straight for the kill, I would imagine. But yesterday when Jonty had the dogs, there's lots of hyenas around, Kalamba on this tree, all within 200-metre radius. If that, very, very close proximity to one another. The sun is starting to pop its head out. Golden light is filtering through, the birds are calling. Lynn, same position with the kills, so just on the southern side of Elephant Carcass. In between Twin Dams and Treehouse Dam, if you like, on the southern side of the reserve. And Kalamba made this kill 2 days ago now. She took a while to start eating it. I think she just killed as an opportunity. When an opportunity arises, take it immediately. It's winter, after all. She killed it immediately after leaving the Mulwati, where she was feasting on Tandy's kill. But I imagine once that sun comes through, she will move a little bit. It's probably been an extremely cold night. Nina, she could be. We would never know. She was seen mating with Mulwati, but it didn't seem to last long. There's also the possibility that it was a false estrus move from Kalamba. But there's a lot we don't see, a lot we don't hear, and she has been missing in action for a number of days where no one knew her whereabouts. She could have been mating. She could be pregnant. We don't know. It's highly likely that she'll come into full estrus again and mate again after the loss of her cub. That will make a lot of sense for sort of her well-being to do so, but we really wouldn't be able to tell. She was seen mating with Mulwati on the dam cam, but the next again day when Tristan went to investigate, the male and female leopard tracks both seemed to separate. And as you know, when leopards are mating, it's a prolonged event. Hello, princess. I know it's not the best views, but we're just positioned in such a manner to make sure that we can see if any lion appears on the southern side. I haven't heard him call again. I will get on the radio soon and see if anyone's with this male lion. so we can at least establish his location. It's fascinating to see how all these predators are moving in such close proximity to one another. They all live sympatrically after all. All their territories and home ranges overlap, especially leopards and lions. Sometimes it's nice just to sit and listen. That's your clue. Since we can't see anything, listening is your clue to the lion's whereabouts. So as we sit here, FC will keep a very close eye on our feed. I'm going to send you guys over to Yapi.
While that male lion's moving closer to that side, we have just come across a male lion drinking on the edge of a watering hole. Now, what a sight indeed. Beautiful reflection of the male in the water between the dead trees. He seems to be quite thirsty. Just starting to call. Sounds like quite a soft contact call. And by the looks of it, I can see some bare patches behind the ears. Even though the mane on the chest is quite dark, it doesn't look like this lion is fully maned yet, which makes me think that it might be a young male. He is roaring, but it's not a full blown roar where he puts in all his effort, so it's more like a contact roar, and it should be interesting to see if he does actually have other lions in the area that he knows of, that he's calling, or if he's just calling out of desperation because he's been alone for a while. From what I've seen, I don't see any other creatures on the edge of the water except some guinea fowl. So I think we'll head closer, try and see if we can get a better view, and we'll head over to Pete, who's also got a male lion.
Welcome back to andBeyond Phinda, everyone, where we found these tree climbing lions. So interesting, these three cubs or someone else have decided to climb the tree here. Oh, that branch is shaking a little bit. I don't know how sturdy it is with all three of them in that tree. Absolutely fascinating to see. You can see they're not quite as majestic as a leopard in a tree. Not quite built for them, built for climbing trees. But how's this view? This poor waterberry tree is taking a bit of strain here. Look at this youngster trying to decide how to turn around. Managing to figure it out now. Yo, such a special sighting. Let's watch how graceful they are as they go down, and I don't think it's going to be very graceful. Oh, there you go. Big thump, and off they run. How awesome was that? Yes. Can you see Mom just lying in the shade there? Up ahead. So this is a lioness with her 3 sub-adults. Part of the same pride that we saw this morning. Unfortunately, they went into quite a thick area, so we didn't manage to keep up with them. But then we found these lions, so we're really, really fortunate to find them this morning. We're going to see if we can catch up. See if we can get to them. Obviously, it's still quite cool this morning, so it is a time when lions will be still quite active, and it's lovely with these youngsters around. It's often that they are a little bit more active than sometimes the adults would be at this time of the day. Still more inquisitive, more interested in all the little things. Oh, there's 2 of them just here having a near you, right? It's unbelievable. And this cub's decided to drink from probably the muddiest water I've seen in a long time. It's probably a patch where a rhino has been mud wallowing. You can see all the little footprints around here. There's a tiny bit of water left in there. As this cub approaches inquisitively. So lions aren't massively water dependent, but if they do come across water, they will have a drink. Can you see that little bit of steam coming off their nose? Still quite fresh this morning, as I was mentioning. Try and duck my head out of the way here. It's amazing how as Mom moves off, they kind of follow right behind her. They never want to get too much distance between them and Mom. So let's see if we can keep up with them again. Such lovely light. They're going to move into a patch where there's a bit of sun. See what that's like. So awesome. There are little dew droplets on the grass here, and it just makes for such a beautiful scene. Mom seems to have spotted a wildebeest. I don't know if you can see that wildebeest just behind there. Mom can't be more than 25-30 yards away. And that wildebeest is completely oblivious. It's amazing how, as you come around the corner, these cubs are a little bit exposed here. But let's just watch how their reaction is. They might just sit patiently and watch his mom. You gets involved. Look how they're all very diligently just sitting here, taking notes. There's absolutely no wind this morning, so it's going to play to the advantage of the lion. So we obviously can't see the lioness at the moment, but she's just gone around that bush to the left of these cubs. Look how they're creeping off now. There's a warthog down there that they've spotted as well. Now they're obviously not as experienced as Mom in hunting, so they might actually expose themselves now and mess up the hunt for Mom. This one is quite inquisitive, and I think as it moves into the open, this wildebeest is going to spot them. Oh no. Oh. I don't think you see now the wildebeest spotted him. See, it's just the lack of experience now. They didn't realize Mom is busy stalking this wildebeest. Yeah, those cubs have gone off following a warthog now. But Mom's actually, I'm sure, still very interested in this wildebeest. I'm going to move forward a tiny bit. Just to see if we can keep view of these lion cubs. Raspberry. Grant, you're right, it doesn't ever get old. It's quite amazing to see, but these cubs have just reached the age now. Can you hear the wildebeest has just spotted them? This is alarm calling now.
Everyone around.
But quite interestingly, that wildebeest is looking at the cubs and not where the lioness went. And often what the wildebeest will do is make its way a little bit closer towards where the lions are. And that actually might put it closer to where Mom is. Off it goes. But those cubs spotted that warthog, so I wonder if they're going to try and see as this wildebeest heads off. It would have been quite impressive for a lioness to take down a big wildebeest bull like that. So we're going to try and keep up with these lions and see what happens in the next while.
So I can't see how the cubs have gone off moving that way.
The Wildlife and Environment Society of South Africa, WESA, encourages people to care for the earth. Through innovative projects, they aim to reverse the serious issues that we face in the world today. One of these projects is Green Coast, a proudly South African award for sensitive and well-managed coastal sites. This sustainability project protects our national coastlines while providing unemployed youth with a love for their environment and a hope for the future. WESA is a membership and volunteer-supported organisation. Every supporter is helping to change the only earth we have. Visit our website to see how you can help care for our earth.
I love being a cam-up for WildEarth. The animals coming right up close to you, especially like lions. Sometimes you get nervous, but you have to go with the flow. My favorite animal to film is the elephant because of how big it is. But when it's really up close to you, it's one animal that you would say, I really respect you.
We have a baby pangolin, a baby pangolin. This is off the charts. This animal is about from your fingertips to your elbow. That's the total length of this animal. This is unreal. This is unreal. This is unreal. This is like now my 4th Christmas in a week. We should do this more often.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
Not too far away, but he's gone flat. But you never know. As soon as he gets a whiff of this delicious diker, he could easily be drawn to this area. So she's still on the ground. For us, it's very difficult to gauge distance from audio, especially in winter. Yes, you get an idea, but it's really difficult for humans. Whereas Tlalamba here, she will know exactly where that lion is. From his audio, from his sound. So he's a little bit away on the southern side. But I think we're definitely just going to sit here and see how this scenario plays out. It might not play out at all, but it might. We may even get a hyena or two. We're really not far away from the hyena den. It'd be so wonderful to see some of the cubs that haven't been accounted for. Pumela and Gingerika. They are now roaming free and they're so much smaller than Ngwazi. It leaves them very vulnerable. The sun's now casting its rays, and unfortunately Davy and I are in the shade. It would be nice if we were in the sun. We may reposition in a moment, get a better look at her, as long as we can keep our eye on the embankment in case this lion appears. I'm not sure if I actually gave you this update because there's been so many updates, but the Talamatis killed a waterbuck the other day at 11 a.m. just next to Nsinga camp on Buffelshoek, and there was a male lion there that was originally called in as Darkmane, but it actually wasn't Darkmane. They think it might be the S8 male, but I don't know if that's been confirmed, so don't hold me accountable for that ID, but it definitely wasn't Darkmane. The Talamatis were apparently being very, very aggressive, not letting this male lion get to the carcass. Eventually he did get in and they all left, and that's when most of the sub-adults came down to Buffelshoek Dam to get away. One lioness was reported to be sort of doing the flirtatious, going up to the male lion, distracting him, doing the sort of lordoses, putting her rump in his face. It's very, very interesting that there was a male lion feeding with the Talamatis and it was not an avoca. Okay, talking about lions, we are going to send you over to Phinda.
Welcome back, everyone. Unfortunately, fortunately a few, the wildebeest or warthog, they managed to get away. But look at, as these lions come around from either side of us, they're just following Mom again still, kind of zigzagging around this area. Quite interesting. Look at that one climbing on Mom's back. So at the moment, all they're up to is kind of roaming around this area, patrolling. And if they were to come across... Look at that. So playful this morning. So lovely. Let's see if we can keep up with them. If they were to come across a wildebeest again or a zebra or something, they would definitely try their luck. Sorry, went over a nice big rock there. And see once again if we can get it in front of them. It's really, really nice lights at the moment. As I was mentioning earlier, with those little dew droplets slowly starting to disappear. And if you look just to our right soon, they all walk in a beautiful straight line. Mom's just taking them around to all these various different spots. I'm actually just going to try and drive at the same speed as them. It's quite lovely and flat here, so hopefully you guys get a nice view. And they're walking kind of in a straight line right behind Mom. It's awesome to see. And Mom stops and scans, and she's been going around to all the little spots where she thinks there might be prey. So Ngala in this area, a lot of wildebeest. She's stopping, scanning, sniffing the air. So I'm just going to see if I can get in front of them again. And I suspect the cubs with this little bit of wood right here, it'd be quite interesting to see if they were to try and play on it or climb on it. Being young, inquisitive lions, they find all these little, almost toys in a way, quite interesting. So it'll be nice to see if they do something on it. There we go. How was that? Beautiful, just as we suspected. Hey, I'm just going to reverse slightly. So we can get a nice wider pan here of what's going on. Look at this one stalking the other. Yeah, Elizabeth, it's been such a fantastic morning. These lions really have been so amazing and so interesting to watch. This is absolutely awesome, just spending the morning with him like this. Watching them going in these grasslands. It's not an area where we see lions that often, but they seem to be loving it here at the moment. Bless you. The one lion just had obviously a grass seed or something get inside his nose. Going towards a beautiful Timberti tree. At this, Timberti trees often are the tree that they'll choose to try and grab onto to stretch out their talons, their claws, sorry, not birds, their claws, and to sharpen them as well. It's got nice rough bark. But I think she's already done with that for the day. Seems to be walking straight past the tree. Just gonna see if we can get ahead of her again. Helen, and back to your question, yes, so this pride, well, the mom with her cubs, they all sleep in the same spot, and they do most of their sleeping during the middle of the day, so in the heat of the day, when the sun's out, they'll probably find a nice shady spot to spend the day. Look at mom there, just being quite playful. Excuse me, I also got a grass seed in my my nose, yeah. So this lioness has been quite experienced, and one of the older lionesses in this pride knows where all the water holes are. So she's been here she's quite old, she's about 6-7 years old, and there's actually a water hole coming up that she's slowly heading towards, and she knows that at this time of the day maybe some of the antelope might come and have a drink. So I wonder if she's going to go towards there and see if there are any Ngala or Impala or something going down for a drink. Obviously it makes it quite nice for her to hunt around those type of areas. Having a lot of cover around the water as well. There's a lot of bush around there. If you can see this cub that's closest to us now, has got a little injury on its back leg, and it looks like it's healing quite well. But I wonder if that's the reason that this cub is at the back. Lion cub, they are very energetic. Yeah, thanks for the comments. I love finding lions in the morning, because that's usually when they're a little bit more energetic. So in the early mornings, and then obviously in the later afternoons when it cools down again. You can see at this time of the year, as the grass is starting to turn, their camouflage is just becoming more and more effective. See, we're following mom, and there's this game trail. It looks like it's been used by quite a few animals. It's almost like a straight line through this grass here, and it's just a path of least resistance. So really lovely for all the animals to use, I guess, similar to a road for us. So mom's gone straight past the water hole where I thought that she was going to head towards. So we're going to stick with these lions for a while, and we're going to send you off to Yapi, who's got a male lion.
So this lion's now decided to settle here. He stopped his calling. He was sniffing around this area and flemming a bit. So he definitely picked up on some chemical signals of, I'm not sure what exactly. I highly doubt it's other lions. We haven't seen any signs of other lions in this area. The closest we've seen is quite a way away from here. But it's not unusual to see behavior like this. I have seen other young male lions on their own in a very similar state at points. It's kind of coming to terms with the fact that they're going to have to move on their own and start to fend for themselves. But there's also a social animal that does pick up on, or it grew up within a pride. It always had other pride members around him. And it's also driven to have a pride of his own, or prides maybe, if he's lucky enough. And he's basically entering the toughest time of his life at this point. And a lot of it will be spent on his own for sure. He has no other direct brothers. He knows a watering hole is a good spot to come and have a look, to come and see if there might be any other signs of other lions around, because he knows lion behavior very well as well. Light in the sky, do lions have allergies? I'm sure they do. Actually, I don't know exactly what, but I'm sure they do. There must be some things that trigger immune responses or reactions to certain things. But exactly what those are, I don't know. It would be interesting to find out, to have a look and see if there are any well-known recorded allergies. I'm sure it would mostly have something to do with diet. But notice how his ears is just up. He's looking in one direction. He's pretty much fixed his gaze. Like every now and again there's some sounds nearby that's drawing his attention, but he's listening out in an area that takes a huge dip almost into the valley towards the Timbavati riverbed. It's almost like he's expecting something to come from that way. A call, hopefully a recognizable call. so. Those ears will most definitely pick it up from a far way away. I think that would be his, at this stage, would be his best bet of finding other known lions. Nina, he's roughly about 5. He's almost 5. So he is entering a very important and defining stage within his life. He's been hanging around the pride for a very long time, longer than what is usual. Because either young male lions might decide to move away from the pride during the stage that their hormones start working, if they have the backup of other predators, or they might get chased. Now, the territorial males in this area has been trying to chase this guy off for quite a long time, but he's been sticking around. He's quite large and quite strong as well, so he stood his ground quite well, but I think he also paid the price. He suffered a very bad injury on his left hind leg, an injury which will probably sustain him, or probably stay with him for his life. Amazing. I love the way they usually, after they called, they stopped for a brief moment to listen out. Just make sure, almost as if expecting to hear something that it might have missed while calling. And I think that was a desperate call from his side, and after this he'll probably realize that there's no response. So we might stay here for a little while longer, see what he does.
WildEarth knows it is critical to help as many young people as possible to connect with the natural world. We hope that by bringing the wilderness to our future conservationists, we will inspire a love for nature and perhaps plant a seed which will flourish in the future. Over the years, kids from countries all over the world have joined us on safari.
I really enjoyed learning about the leopards and the cubs and how they hunt and live.
We got to see different types of antelopes, and we also saw our male lion's tracks.
I got to learn about like different types of animals in their natural habitats.
It was like we were on a real safari, so it was kind of cool. We got to see a lot of unique animals.
That whole safari live video just inspired me to fulfill my dream of becoming a safari guide as well.
Take 27. I'm Carol from Chicago, USA. This is me 5 years ago. No music, no editing, real time. I was hooked. Thank you so much for that, WildEarth.
I had lost my job, and I also lost one of my pets. So WildEarth has seen me through very hard times, and I just want to thank all of you for being there for me when I needed you most.
We love you. We start and end our day with you, teaching our grandkids all about nature through you, your wonderful educational safaris.
We really do appreciate being on safari with you, especially when it's cold and wintry in Canada.
And considering we've been in lockdown for 18 months here in Saudi and have not been able to fly back to South Africa, I want to thank you for bringing your safari back into my life every single day and night. I love it, love it, love it.
My name is Lauren and I'm currently working in Djuma Private Game Reserve here in South Africa. I love answering your questions during the live safaris. It's my favorite part. It feels like you're on the vehicle with me and I'm able to teach you exactly what you want to know. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, then you need to register on our website. Once registered, you must go to the live safari page and ask your question below the live feed. We've repositioned. We've managed to get a lovely view of our sleepy kitty. Very sleepy. The grey go-away birds have arrived though, and she's not too happy about that. She really doesn't like them. We haven't heard the lion call again. But you never know what will happen when they both warm up. They're probably relishing that little bit of warmth that's being delivered by the sun right now. And with a leopard, they really don't leave their kill. Unless it's completely finished. Once it's finished, they'll leave. But otherwise, they will always be in the area. You just have to find them. Look, that's the question of all questions, isn't it? And I don't think scientifically there's any sort of proof of the answer to that. Now, she may have some awareness just from the fact that Maribs is young and he's always with Tandy. She will definitely recognize Tandy. Even if it's not visually, it will be through chemical sort of cues. She'll know Tandy. So there may be some awareness that this is Tandy's offspring, but there won't be an awareness, I am Tandy's daughter and therefore this is my half-brother. I mean, I really don't think so. Unless in the world of in the world of chemicals that we are not privy to in any way, shape or form, there's a saint that informs her. So I couldn't possibly conclusively say that, but I really don't think so. I mean, we're so far removed from the chemical world, but there could be a chemical cue that informs her, you know, this is Tandy's offspring and she would be aware of some relation, but I really don't think so. She'll definitely know Tandy, though she knows Ngana. And she'll know other leopards, but as for relation, I doubt it. Now she's watching the starlings. she's quite a birder. Kalamba loves to do some birding. I believe Tandy's no longer in Djuma. I think she was found this morning walking down Cheetah Cutla and going back south again. So she obviously didn't make a large kill last night. Probably had something small, like a scrub hare. But nothing substantially large that she would have hoisted. Kalamba, are you going to be around this afternoon? Because we have two very special guests coming from another location. And I would love to show you to them. I hope you all tune in this afternoon to find out who my two special guests are. They will be on the vehicle, and they will each get a chance to sit in the hot seat, which is not actually hot. It's very cold, but you know what I mean. A hornbill's now arrived on the scene. Megan, I know. Davi and I were actually just talking about that. What is it about a leopard that we're also drawn to? All of us. I don't know anyone who does not find the leopard attractive. I mean, what is it? Is it the color palette? Is it the pattern, the rosettes? Is it the facial features? I can't quite put my finger on why we are all so attracted to the leopard. I mean, they're stunning. Very aesthetically pleasing, but why? We were just sitting talking about that. Because all animals have their beauty points, I guess. Well, maybe not all. The goblin shark definitely doesn't. Google that. Google the goblin shark. Spiders don't really hold much beauty. The orbs do, but beauty is in the eye of the beholder, as they say, though, and I just wonder what it is about a leopard. Look at that tail, Davi. Do you see it? Twitch, twitch, twitch. Susie, believe it or not, incest happens regularly within leopards, really. They do mate with one another, so she absolutely could mate with a potential sibling or half-sibling, when they get old enough. Of course, Marive's is far too young right now. If their paths were to cross and she was in estrus, they would be driven towards one another. Kalamba could possibly mate with Tingana. I know how bizarre that seems in the human realm. In our world, it seems very bizarre. But in the cat world, it's possible, and it happens because they are driven by pheromones and hormones and chemical cues, not by morals and sort of human rules. It's not sustainable, though. Genetically, it's not sustainable. And it can only be about 3 generations, really, before you start to see the adverse effects of inbreeding, not incest, inbreeding. But really, yes, they absolutely... What's she doing? Is she snarling at the birds? Are you snarling? Yes, she is. Look at her cheek. She's baring teeth there. The multiple birds that we have around right now. Poor Kalamba. She's just trying to get some sleep. No sleeping for you, Kalamba, now. Wow, the sounds here are just incredible. We are not going anywhere, but you guys are heading over to Ngala.
And this lion is still quite unsure what he wants to do. I think what I've found about lions is they do have quite a good sense of, a good homing sense. And they do realize when the other lions that they know are in the area. And there's a scratch there, which means he might get up and move along. Imagine all the parasites and the ticks and things in that mane. He's very vocal this morning, so he must know that the others aren't too far. And I know that they found some of the others, like, for what might seem to us quite far away, but for a lion like this, it's easy walk within a couple of hours. But he also knows that the males are that side. And he knows that he needs to avoid them. They've been very actively chasing him lately. And that's a good question. To an extent, most big cats have evolved to have one or two generations of inbreeding before they do actually start showing signs. But exactly how much they can inbreed, I wouldn't know. It does definitely show after a while. You do realize that some lions, especially in some cases in captivity, where lions have been kept and inbred over a long period of time, it does show the effects, and it does certainly have some problems within their growth and development at later generations. You can see his head's down now. And I think he has reached a point in the morning where you can feel the sun also breaking through the clouds now, so it's getting nice and warm. You can see it just reflecting off his coat. Quite a shiny coat. He looks in a good condition, even though he does have his limp. It's crazy to see him from how we saw him not too long ago, when he was quite agitated and fending off hyenas around his kill, and now he's this very relaxed, almost lonely lion. In fact, he's just a young male lion. The fact that he's been in and around this area for the last couple of days shows that he is not quite sure of what to do, actually. He knows this area, he knows where the territorial males are, which he needs to avoid. Can't really go further east from here, because if he does, there's other male lions that he probably has been encountering as of late. They've more than likely tried to make sure that he stays out of their area. So he's a bit in limbo at the moment. The watering hole is a perfect spot to come and stay if you don't know what to do, I guess. Lili, he could most definitely form a coalition with the younger Birmingham males. I think that is why he's calling like that, as we have seen them a couple of times with him spread out across the reserve and forming different odd smaller groups. So that is definitely an option for him. The bond between them is stronger than it is between them and him, but in a way they did grow up with him as well. So he's been around for most of their young lives. So there is already an existing bond that could prove to be very beneficial to this lion in the future. But whether that will actually happen remains to be seen. There were some birds alarming off on that side, which is what I think drew his attention. He did also had his nose up earlier, picking up on a scent coming from that side, which I'm not sure exactly what it might be. It might just be prey animals in the nearby area. The fact that he's calling means that he's probably not too concerned about other lions. And Belinda, he's most definitely, I think maybe he's just enjoying the view, doing some bird watching. Some oxpeckers coming down from a dead tree not far from where he is, and I think he was just watching them. And lions, and I've noticed especially male lions, they do tend to watch the bird movements, especially the larger birds of prey. And for him at this stage, that would be very, very helpful. From where he is, this is a little bit of a rise up here on this side of the watering hole. So if he looking to the distance at the moment, I don't think it's warm enough yet, but once it warms up within the next hour, we might start to see the vultures circle, in which case he'll watch them. If they do go down, if it's somewhere nearby, then he might even go and investigate. A young male lion on his own is actually quite a resourceful creature. I've watched them before carefully, how they use other signs in the environment to aid them in finding food in a relatively easy manner, as opposed to hunting for themselves. Well, while ourselves and this lion is enjoying this beautiful view over the water, we'll head over to Jonty, who's on the move.
I hope you do enjoy that view, Yapi. Welcome back, everyone.
So Dazza and I have been on a bit of a tracking mission this morning. We actually started off tracking the Pride of Lions. I'm assuming it was a Telemati Pride just from where we found the tracks, but they crossed out into the Manyeleti, so then we came back for our original plan to try and find Tavangumi, and we found some of his tracks, but he walked along via tele-access, and there's been a lot of traffic along there this morning, so a lot of his tracks have been driven over, which makes it a bit more difficult. But we're just working the sort of area around, checking for tracks coming out of this section out on our left. Just been chatting to Darren about the sort of the process of tracking and what the sort of the steps of tracking. So obviously number one would be track identification. You need to be able to identify, for example, we want to look for this leopard, so you've got to be able to make sure there's some older lion tracks going back the other way, so you need to be able to identify the track that you're following, and then the next step would be to figure out how fresh are they. So you look at a couple of things. Track, you might hear guys always saying the tracks look clean. And they're fresh. There's almost like a bit of a shine to them. And all the edges of the track will be crisp and it will hold its shape completely. If it's older, it will be slightly rounded on the edges, but you might also see that nocturnal animals or insects have all crawled over them. So then you can gauge the freshness. Then you want to identify the direction that they're going. Make sure you start following them the right way. Sometimes elephant tracks you get guys following elephant tracks the wrong direction, which is obviously not helpful. And then when you actually start going, you've got to try and sort of put yourself in the mind of, so in this case we're talking about the leopard, you've got to try and put yourself in the mind of the leopard, and you look at the tracks because you'll be able to see it. Is he or she walking fast? Is he running? Because then you could think, okay, he's probably on a scenting patrol. You'd start looking for patches where they might have scent marked or scraped. And that way you can kind of think, like you could see, okay, if it was walking here, it would have likely carried on here. Because sometimes you go through sections like on this grass where you definitely can't see a track at all. Well, I can't. There's definitely some trackers who follow leopards and lions through grass like this. And then it starts becoming a sort of a process of elimination as you're going along. You might hear a bird alarm calling on this side, or a squirrel, for example. You've got to investigate that because it could be the leopard you're following. But if you look and you see there's a bird of prey nearby, then you can't cancel that out. Okay, well, it's not there. Let's carry on going here. So that is what we are busy doing now. We're busy ticking off all these things and trying to catch up to hopefully Tavangumi. But you're going to head back over to Lauren while we keep trying to track.
She's moving. I'm not entirely sure she's going to go up the tree, or is she? Now we can't see anything. She's either going to pop up in those forks or she's not. Where have you gone, girl? She could also just be resting at the base of the tree. This is the exact time I thought she would get mobile, and I think that means the lion might get mobile shortly soon. It's warm enough now. Oh, I see the tail. I think she's possibly going to go up when she's had a little itch and scratch.
It is absolutely the perfect tree. It's actually the perfect position. It's just off the road, so it's easy to access in a drainage line. And the plethora of birds around us right now, from hornbills to starlings to quailias to buntings to go-away birds to shrikes. My goodness, we're surrounded. The ambience is just unreal. It really is a perfect spot. We're also down below in the drainage line, and it's always nice to look up at the predator rather than look down, if that makes sense. Ah, I see the tail. We're still there. She's just shown us, but she's still here. Kalamba dear, are you going to go up the tree? Oh, we're having a really good sniff. All the guides here and the cameramen, we all have trees that are our favourite trees that we want to see leopards in. My tree was always a jackleberry on Gowrie Cut Line, and we got that. We got Kalamba in that once. Tristan's was always a marula on Central, which is now in pieces on the elephants. But we also had Tandy in that once. I'm desperate to see a leopard up the Torchwood, the Balanites of Balanites Road. That's the tree that I want to see a leopard in. A leopard is a tree's best accessory. Oh, she's walking away. Oh, Kalamba. This is exactly what she did yesterday. Okay, this may take a lot of maneuvering, but of course we are going to try and keep up with our little princess.
The annual Safari Guide of the Year competition aims to create awareness for those men and women who dedicate their lives to tourism and wildlife. This year's event will be held at Marataba, a breathtaking privately managed section of the Marakele National Park in South Africa's Limpopo province. In celebration of this, WildEarth and Marataba Luxury Lodges are offering all explorers a chance to win a 3-night stay at Marataba Safari Lodge for you and a friend. In addition to a spectacular land-based safari, Marataba Luxury Lodges offer an opportunity for guests to cruise peacefully along the Matlabas River, watching the animals as they drink and wallow. The lodge offers you a chance to lie by the pool or enjoy a spa treatment, and one night could be spent sleeping out under the stars in a luxurious treehouse. Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer before the 30th of June, and it could be you heading off on a long-awaited getaway. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature. For many years, WildEarth has taken viewers from around the world to the Mara Triangle, a place of majestic beauty and abundant wildlife. But it wasn't always like this. Before 2001, it was infested with poachers. Illegal harvesting and hunting was rife. Now the situation couldn't be more different. The hard work and dedication of the Mara Conservancy has revolutionized this magical land. But now, the loss of revenue from tourism has created a grave crisis. The Mara Conservancy needs help if they are to continue protecting the reserve and supporting the local communities whose livelihood depend on its survival.
It's a huge privilege to be in these incredible places with these amazing animals. I love filming lions. When they do get up and do something, it's always spectacular. When they are playing, are incredibly fun to watch, especially subalts and cubs. I love being in the bush and working in these incredible places with these amazing animals. We want to bring it to you so that you can almost feel like you're right there and be able to experience it and enjoy it the way we are.
Now, there's been some grooming going on here. And he's trying to get some of the fur out of his tongue and out of his teeth. And a brief pause to listen. With no luck, and then continue to groom. I think that was actually quite interesting. Like halfway through trying to get the fur from his teeth and his tongue, he's decided, okay, let's give one last call and then it's time to move. You can see those scars on his right back leg, on the hip, just below the hip. The signs that he's bearing, showing that it's not easy to become what he will eventually become, which is a large territorial male lion. And essentially the toughest and strongest in an area. If that should be his course, I guess if there's any lion that would be able to do that, it's probably him. Keep a territory on his own. And that's not usual, especially not in the Kruger National Park or the larger area. Here, the success of male lions depend on their brotherhoods or their coalitions. And that's why he certainly has the odds stacked against him. Very interesting about this lion is he has a half-brother who was also born here and grew up here, and who has actually... He's also in a very similar situation. He was the only male that survived out of all the litters of cubs when he was born, and he is actually territorial on his ace on one of the nearby reserves. Which is not common, but then again also it's a lion, so they do crazy things. Now, I'm not sure entirely where he's going at this point. It's still quite cool. The cloud cover is cooling the morning down quite a bit, and because of that, he's quite active. I think he's also driven to find the other lions. that need to be social, or that need of other pride members, that is what makes the lion unique amongst the big cats. Now he's gone into quite a tricky spot, and over here it will be very difficult to follow if he continues, but you can see he is busy marking, rubbing his head all over that bush. So he's certainly not shy to show his presence. While we see and follow him and see where he goes, we'll head over to Jonty for some more tracking.
So we've just circled some tracks on the road here. So Darren and I are on a proper tracking mission this morning. Darren's asking me all kinds of questions about tracking, and so it may be interesting for you to hear as well. So it's not a leopard track that we've been looking for, but down here is a track of a hyena. I'm sure the viewers of watching, you might have seen these tracks before. But you can see there's beautiful two big lobes at the back there. So that kind of lets us know that it's a hyena, not a leopard, lion or cheetah. And then this first toe here, you can see it's very much kidney shaped. And this outside toe here. And you can see at the tip here where the claws have gone into the ground. So leopards and lions, you won't see their claws unless it's very, very soft substrate. So this also, what we were talking about earlier, you can see on the sides of the track here, it's still very sharp. So this hyena probably walked down here early this morning. It's very crisp. I'm just going to go back to see this track here. Are you on it here, Darren? So this is the back foot of the same hyena. So you can see the same shape at the back, those two lobes, and the same kidney shape. And then you can see here where the claws came in. And you can see how much smaller this track is than the front track. So the hyenas, the bulk is the shoulders, the head, the neck. That's what's really heavy. So it's got the much bigger front paws to support that mass, and much smaller back feet, because there's obviously so much less weight here. So part of what I was talking about earlier was being able to identify where the tracks are fresh enough to follow. So these would be fresh enough to follow. I mean, you might end up walking quite a long way just understanding hyena behavior. But then if we go onto the side of the road here, there's another one I've circled. So this is from an impala. And you can see a very nice track. You see the sharp points dug in there. And you can see the ridges are still good, but you can see that this was when this was wet. So then you know, okay, well, that was 2 days ago in the rain. There's no point following up on that sort of track. So that's what we're busy doing now. We've checked all the areas behind us, and we haven't found a track yet of any leopard, let alone Tavangumi, coming out of that block. But like I say, this road's had so much traffic on it. I think a lot of the tracks have been driven over. There was a hyena that was calling sort of incessantly about 40 minutes ago in here. So we're going to loop around and take Aubrey's Road and see if any of the tracks come out. But it is such an ancient skill that I've been really fortunate to spend time with some really, really good trackers. And it's something I love to try and practice to do. But you're going to head over to Phinda, see what's happening at a watering hole there.
Welcome back to andBeyond Phinda, everyone. We've just decided to sit here at this waterhole for a little while, and we're just sitting here listening to all the different sounds, and we heard some breaking branches actually just to our right, So we're pretty sure there's some elephants a little bit deeper into the bush, but we can't really see them. Lovely just sitting here. These white all nesting. It's quite interesting. They all nest in winter, which is rather unusual. And they make quite a racket, quite noisy birds. So male and female will sit on the nest for the day. They will take turns. Top about 2 or 3 times of the day. They'll just go. One take turn, sit on the eggs for a while, and then the other will. And once they got chicks, they'll do the same thing, caring for the chicks, but they go out and try and catch fish or get some food to bring back to the nest. It is a beautiful scene, especially with no wind this morning, not a breath of wind, and it's just such a lovely, lovely day out here. Nice temperature, not too hot yet. I don't know if you can hear that branch breaking in front of us. We're hoping that these elephants maybe make their way down to the waterhole, but I don't know if we've maybe missed it. I think they might have actually already been down. Yeah, that cracking sound, you can hear it again. Sit here for a while, hope that these elephants come out, and we're going to send you off to Lauren.
We managed to catch up with our little princess, but she's snoozing heavily up the drainage. This is exactly what she did yesterday. She moved up the drainage. Luckily, our vehicles can get there, and she's sleeping. I genuinely think she's sleeping. Look at the rapid breathing. The deep breathing. That's normally when you can tell that someone's really sleeping. I think she moved because of all the birds. They were very loud. I mean, you will still hear birds here, but she's just nestled herself away in the thicket, getting some warmth from the vegetation. When are you going to go up the tree, dear? She's really sleeping. And this just shows you how relaxed Kalamba really is around the vehicles. She's in a deep, deep sleep. Okay, not so deep. She opened her eyes. The Lamba, you just threw me under the bus there. But she's relaxed, at least. I really want to know who the male lion is. I'm tempted to go around. I also don't want to leave Kalamba in case she goes up the tree. I'm torn. mean, I agree. She looks even more beautiful asleep. And if Davy can just zoom out a little bit. We were just saying earlier, we really didn't know she was here. If there was no tracks, or scat, or signs of a kill, or alarm calls, squirrels, bird, you would not be able to see that princess. She's just tucked away in there. Look at that. You would never know. We always have to look for the signs, not just visual signs, audio signs, all sorts of signs around the bush in order to find the predators. But of course we know she's here because there's a kill. But she's just tucked away in there. Winter's in full swing. I think we've had a predator every single day for the past little while. Winter is here. People always ask, when's the best time to come to the bush, at least the Lowveld? It's amazing in summer, the insects, the sounds, the buzz, the heat, the colour. That lush green of the bush is lovely if you're taking photographs. Winter is cold. Oh, it's really, really cold. But the tensions from the predators, you see a lot more. One, because the bush is thinner. Two, resources are not as abundant. They're all competing for one another. So you tend to see more predator action in winter. But when you do see a predator in summer, the colour of the bush is just spectacular. So it really depends what you're looking for. The seasons offer completely different opportunities. There's not really a spring or an autumn here, not really. That sort of gradient is not so sharp in South Africa here as it would be in Europe or the Americas, North America. There's something very sweet about seeing any animal sleep. And I think it's because humans can relate to sleep so well. I'm sure we all love to sleep. And there's just something nice about seeing any organism sleep. But that kill has definitely been repositioned. It's definitely not as full as it was yesterday. So she's obviously been feeding through the night. We checked just before the end of drive yesterday, maybe about 6:15, and she wasn't on the kill. So I think she's been up that tree during the night, being active, being Kalamba, and now she's resting. Oh, we're definitely going to sleep now. Look at those visuals. As we sit here, we are going to send you guys over to Phinda.
Welcome back, everyone. We've finally just seen this elephant that we've been hearing in the bush, making all the noise. There is another one deeper in, but look at this young bull here, just slowly making his way. Well, he stopped for now, but he was slowly making his way towards the water. You can see quite a bit of red color on the back of him, on his back, and that would have just been from some dust that he's been throwing on him, some mud. can see just the top, the trunk of the other one. It's awesome just to see that little trunk reaching straight to the tree. Oh, and there goes that branch. Seems like this elephant is just enjoying the sun for now, as he slowly strides now confidently down towards the water, just nodding his head with a bit of enjoyment. Oh, how awesome is this? Just scanning the water before he takes a Jerome, on a hot day they would, and their thick skin actually helps them keep warm. And I actually saw one swimming in this waterhole quite recently, so never know. It's not, this part of the country isn't terribly cold in winter. It is cold, but I'm sure the water temperature is still alright for them to be swimming. It's so awesome. He's doing it so gently. Sometimes elephants can be quite boisterous and quite energetic around water, but he seems just to be enjoying his morning drink. It's lovely just to watch him here quietly and listen to all the different sounds around. Vervet monkey on the road, standing on two legs. Looks like he spotted something. It's quite interesting to see one standing on two legs like this for so long. She's, I think, enjoying the sun just like that elephant was. There she goes, a little scratch. It's quite awesome to see one also on the ground. Often you normally just see the vervet monkey, but they've got such amazing eyesight. They often help when looking for predators. Look at her looking up like that, scanning around. Going towards some old elephant dung. It's quite interesting to see it by itself. Oh, look at him again. Up she gets. Using that tail to hold it up as well, to balance. Oh no, what she spotted down here. Keeps looking the same direction. I wonder if it's the rest of her troop. Look at it, just getting up, trying to get taller than the grass. Oh, there's some more monkeys to the left, and that's what she's been looking at. It's like, oh, where are my friends? There they are. And now she's looking at us, saying, are you my friends? And off she goes into the long grass. That was so awesome. So interesting. Really enjoying just to hear some purple crest sirocco's going off in the distance. The odd crack of a branch as the other bull goes deeper into the bush. It's just so lovely to sit here. Hope you're all enjoying it as much as I am. Those white-breasted cormorants aren't the most graceful of flyers, but they're incredible swimmers. See that one just going down? I'm sure its head will pop up, and it could be quite a few meters from where it went down. Let's see, there it is, just to the left. It's amazing how well they swim. Just darting around trying to catch fish. Popping his head up. So much activity around here today. There's two more fly past. It'd be quite interesting to know how long they can hold their breath for. Because this one's been down for quite a while. Quite a thirsty elephant we've got here. Oh, there's a dead branch, Johan. I'm not too sure if we can get it. There's a tiny little crocodile on that branch, just to the left there. A little bit to the left. Up a bit. Sorry, there we go. How awesome is that? I'll be back to your question. Tuskers is in elephants with huge tusks. We've got two elephant bulls that were introduced from Tembe Elephant Park, and they've got really, really big tusks. And yeah, so I would call them a tusker. and they brought them in just for new genetics and to try and introduce those beautiful big tusk genetics into this reserve. But that's quite a young crocodile, and they have to get being cold-blooded, they have to try and get their heat from an external source, so from the sun. And what this crocodile is doing now is just lying in the sun trying to warm up after a cold morning. Quite a good vantage point to see if there are any little insects or frogs moving below him. And at this stage, that's all it'll be eating, as little insects, frogs, possibly the odd fish.
This is Jake Whitener, all the way from the US, and he is a holder of the Ticket to Dream.
I decided to support and buy the Ticket to Dream to help WildEarth in its mission of conservancy towards animals and the environment.
If you want to go on safari with a WildEarth guide whilst honing your bush knowledge and of course featuring in one of our shows, then head over to our website.
And I would highly recommend that people would be involved in that program.
Sign up to be a WildEarth explorer and you could be making your first ever on-screen appearance.
Ever since I was able to get the Ticket to Dream, I've been looking forward to coming on this drive. It is an absolutely fabulous experience, and it's great.
Founded in 1973, the Endangered Wildlife Trust has consistently and effectively worked towards achieving our conservation legacy. Contribute to this legacy by visiting EWT's Get Wild eShop and purchase products with a purpose.
My name is Steve, and one of my favorite things at WildEarth is getting questions from you. The type of questions that I really like are those ones that really help us to unpack and understand and really integrate the ecological knowledge and fully appreciate the importance that animals such as these Cape buffalo bring to the ecosystem. If you want to ask a question on WildEarth, you're going to have to register on the website, but once registered, just head on over to the live safari page and enter your question under the live feed.
Guys, have a look at what we've got. This is better than my birthday. Look at that. This is the first time that I ever see cubs this small. This is so special. This has officially just become my best sighting of all times.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
Okay, so we're continuing our little tracking theme. So here you can see is a massive track. I don't know if anybody watching has already identified it, but this is from an elephant. But what's quite cool to see, one, you can see, I'm going to start at the bottom side here, Daz, I don't know if you're here, but you can see all these little patterns and like wrinkles and folds. So that's exactly the same as our fingerprint. Especially like the large bulls, if you're going to be tracking them, you'll be able to recognize a pattern in the back of their pad, so you can follow that. But what's happened here, on the outside, you can see there's a big round track. So that would be the front foot. Remember what we were saying about the hyena? The elephant's also got a massive head, big shoulders, so that's where the weight is. And then this is the back track the sort of more oval-shaped one here. That's kind of come on top of the elephant. The elephant's gone this way. You can see this little, at the top here, Darren. That's where his middle toenails kind of flicked like that. So, you know, when you walk, you kind of put your head forward like that. Your foot forward, not your head. Daz wanted me to put my head here for a comparison, but I always tell my mates will be laughing at this because I've got a head like an earthworm, the world's smallest head. But just a rough guide. So what hunters used to do years ago when they wanted to make sure they were tracking a big elephant, if you draw a line through like this, and then you measure, you put your fingers like that, and you go all the way around and you count them. So we did it with this one. And then I'm going to come over here, Darren. So you count that. It was 11, and you times it by 2.5, and you draw a line like this, and then you count out. So 11 is 27.5, and you'd count them out to here. And that gives you a rough idea of how tall the elephant will be. So that's massive. I mean, if I lie down here, how much further is it from my head?
About a meter and a bit.
A meter and a bit. So I'm 2 meters tall. So that's a big elephant. And what's cool is tracks are going the same way we're going, so maybe we'll catch up to him down by the dam, maybe. Very, very cool. So we are going to carry on, and you're going to go to Phinda, who are actually looking at an elephant, not its tracks.
At this beautiful waterhole, seeing those tracks of the elephant with Jonty, it's quite nice to put in perspective of that massive track with this beautiful big animal as well. Look at him moving off a little bit. Hey. Not too sure what happened there. A little bit really excited this morning. He's really just enjoying the sun here. Shaking. I wouldn't be surprised that bull that's here is slightly older. This bull is quite young. And what happens is a young bull will often try and join up, or just join up with an older bull for a bit of guidance, a bit of wisdom, and yeah, just to learn about being an elephant and kind of how to handle must and those things that do happen later on in an elephant bull's life. Thomas, I'm not too sure whether they live longer. I'm sure they live probably around the same time, the same amount of years. But often bulls or male animals will have a little bit of a tougher life because they have to compete and fight quite a lot. So often they might get injured a little bit more often than the cows or the females, and that would result in them obviously having a bit of a shorter life than the females. But if they were to not have any injuries and be fine most of their life, they probably would live around the same amount of time. Scanning back towards this waterhole as this elephant's disappeared into the bush, but it's just such a beautiful scene. Going back to our little crocodile we spotted there, he hasn't moved a muscle. And they won't, he'll just lie there until he's warm enough, and I think as he gets a little too warm, then he'll go into the water and cool off again, and maybe probably spend the middle of the day in the water. Yes, Paul, the rest of the hatchlings would also be in this waterhole, and there's actually a waterhole about a kilometre away from here, where I've actually seen one on the road on its way to that waterhole. So they do move out a little bit, and they would have only started doing that after a couple of months when they were big enough to be able to move. These hatchlings I remember seeing them in January this year, and they were really young, so I think they're about 6 months old, possibly 7 months old now. And when they were born, or when they hatched, there were about 50 of them in the water. I remember counting at one time, and obviously they get preyed on by quite a few different animals and birds, and so at this stage I think be quite a few less than what there was in January. But this one's done really well to survive this far. So you're going to probably carry on now as this elephant's disappeared, and we're going to send you off back to Lauren, who's with her leopard.
Miss Kalahari is fully sleeping. So we are going to leave her now and just let her get on with her snoozy, sleepy day. I imagine she'll go back up to the kill at some point. It's definitely not finished, and that's why she's still in the area. But she's asleep. So we thought we'd just give you some last visuals of our little kitty, and I really hope she's here for this afternoon so we can introduce her to my two guests. I've had many guests on Wendy recently. It's actually very fun to have a guest on board. One of my guests will be in the passenger seat for the first half of the drive, and then they'll do a switch. And the other one will be in the passenger seat for the remaining half of the drive. I think we'll let them ask a question or two. I think we should. But out of all the animals here, I'd like them to see Kalamba. She's our star, our princess. And if you look at that little tummy, it's not bulging. I mean, there's a little bump. She's definitely had some of the diker, but she's not full. And Tingana, just as an update for you all, is on Nkoro, so we can't go there. But he's pretty much on the Kruger boundary. So Mr. Oh, look at those paws. Ah. Cute aggression. I'm feeling it. Are you feeling it, Davy?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. But yes, Mr. Tingana, definitely 100% no longer territorial. And that just proves it. I mean, he's pretty much dipping his paws into the Kruger boundary now. That's far. I mean, that's quarantine's stomping grounds. I mean, we've known this for a while, but he's very far away right now. He's just wandering, going with the flow, taking it easy. Living the chill life. I'm sure Daddy would talk about Kalamba. Make it look comfy sleeping on the ground, but I must say, when I try to
I'll stop you down now to Pangolin, so we're cutting off shortly.
And look who we have just come across. Young white lioness, and you can see she's got a full belly and she's quite dirty. I can see her belly's full of mud. You can see the tail up. It's quite excited. Looks like she's... Oh, and there we go. It looks like there's another lion there. Yes, quite playful. Now that dirty belly, if I didn't know any better, that is an indication that there's something around here that they've been feeding off. And they definitely have a little bit of energy. Whatever they're feeding off, as well as the cool air, has certainly given them a reason to be playful. So I'm just going to try and reposition, see if we might get another view. It is very tricky in here because it is very, very dense. So I'm hoping that we might get another view. I can see some lines off to our right here. Yes, finally, horse lover, finally we can get to have a view of this white princess, who's not It's so white. If you look at her face, you can see it's very dirty. It's almost like a purplish color. It's almost like that mixture between the dust, which would turn into mud from the blood. And her sister, which is also here. It's quite a nice surprise. Haven't been able to see these in quite a while, but just have a look at the white one's belly. It looks like you can see there's a clear black line there. Like she's been laying in the mud. And that means that she was laying flat on her belly with her front paws and her face in, whatever it was. So it must be something large, because that would be a lot of blood and stomach content that would make her that dirty. There they go, into quite a dense area. Now, this is quite a tricky one, so I think we're going to try and reposition, try and see if we can get another view of them.
So, we found one of my cousins, the Lulamiti, or giraffe. He's happily feeding on some buffalo thorn, which is always ridiculous. I've never got used to seeing them stripping the leaves off of those thorny branches. Very cool scene. So we've got the world's tallest land mammal, and then on the road we've got the smallest carnivore that we get out here. Oh, they just...
Sabelo, come in.
And the loudest radio as well. All in one sighting. The little dwarf mongoose on the road. It's ridiculous, the size comparison. So, in terms of the naming of animals, I mean, it's funny, you know, leopards and lions and hyenas all tend to get names. But there was once a giraffe at Phinda that we all called Percy. I know Marcus was talking about giraffe manes the other day, but Percy, his mane was half of the width of his neck and was like almost bleached blonde. The reason we called him Percy was after a South African rugby player called Percy Montgomery. But look at that neck. Imagine now halfway across it, there was just blonde locks waving down the giraffe's neck. You could see him from miles away. I think all the other males were very jealous of him. And I've never seen it again. So I don't know what Percy's problem was, why he had such ridiculously long hair. Look at this one's eyelashes. Hey? So those long eyelashes, that's what helps protect his eyes when he's putting his head into that buffalo thorn. The same way our eyelashes protect us if any dust or something comes in, and they'll feel it and then close. They also close their nostrils very tight so the branches don't poke them in the nose. There's lots of comments saying that they're very gorgeous and unique. That's so true. When guests always arrive on safari, giraffe are often higher on the list of animals to see than some of the predators, because they're just they are so unique. It's hiding a little bit there. If you can hear those birds calling, those are oxpeckers. I don't have a view of one now, but they're on his back. If you try, Darren, go along the ridge line of his back, there's one there. It looks like it's got a branch for a face, but that is the oxpecker, red-billed oxpecker. You often see them on giraffes, picking off ticks and other parasites on the skin and their fur. They must be like the world's largest buffet table. You think how small the oxpeckers are and how big the giraffe is. They just keep eating till they pop. I don't know if you can hear it on the screen, but you can hear the thorns being pulled against his mouth as he rips the leaves off. It's horrific. Sorry, so if he's just telling me the sound's not coming through, but if you can imagine pulling something through where it's got backwards facing thorns, you can just hear that sort of gripping. That you can see how much leaves he's filling into his cheeks there. Michael, that's a good question. So the ossicones, they come out of obviously attached to the skull, as are horns, but the horns are covered in, that keratin layer that's almost like a sheath. Whereas this is just covered in skin and hair. You can see this one in the front of his head there, the difference between male and female. You see, he's almost got that ridge in front of his ossicones, and that would be from sort of previous battles with other males. And sometimes you'll see when the males fight, they actually break some of those ossicones. It must be so sore. Because that's, it's cartilage that's sort of, I think the term's ossified cartilage that's attached to the skull and covered in skin and hair. Whereas a horn, still obviously the base of the horn still attached to the skull, but then it's not. It's covered in that hard keratin sheath. So if we look at an impala or kudu or nyala, if you were to find a skull and sort of just let it dry out over time, you'd actually be able to pull the whole the horn part off, and it would be left with the bone structure inside. They're always so peaceful to watch because they're so quiet. There's a lot of sort of studies going on, even currently, about giraffe communication and whether or not they can actually communicate with low frequency sound. But if you ask guides, or even you at home, if you've been on trips, you very, very rarely will hear a giraffe make a sound that's audible to us. I've only heard it twice in the sort of 15 years that I've been in the bush. And what I've heard is almost like a snort, like an exhale of air, not like an actual sound. So for me, it's always, when I watch them, it's amazing to think that it seems like they just spend their whole lives cruising around in silence, but there must be some sort of communication. They're visual, there'll be a tactile communication, also through scent. But it is interesting reading through all the different articles on whether or not they can communicate with low frequency sound. Oh, look at this. Andrea, no, you'll see them on rhinos and hippos as well. But often they are on all of most of the herbivores that we see. I say all, they're not on elephants. But impala, kudu, warthog, Ngala, bushbuck, giraffe, zebra, wildebeest. And each of those animals all have a different tick load that they naturally will have on them. Impalas actually have a very high tick load. Some articles say that on average an impala will have around 5,000 ticks on it, and that's a healthy number. And it's crazy. I don't know how it works, but wildebeest, which are much bigger than impala, have a much lower tick count. They have less than 1,000. I think it's around 800. But what I don't know is who the person was who went and counted these ticks, because those numbers sound very accurate that they put out. But the simple answer is no, not only animals with fur. The hippos and rhinos, they also spend a lot of time on them. Got the oxpecker on the back again. Oh, cool. There's the oxpecker hopping there. We're just going to sit here and keep enjoying this giraffe's company.
Educating our youth about the environmental threats we face is critical. Our future depends on it. The Wildlife and Environment Society of South Africa, WESA, is actively leading the charge. Their goal is to encourage children to fall in love with our natural world and to empower them to live sustainably in the future. Through their school programs, the children learn to report on environmental issues through videos, articles, and photos.
The YRE program has changed my life in so many beneficial ways. Being out there at the workshops, I was entitled to talk with others, socialize, as well as my writing skills and leadership skills have improved, so it has been great.
WESA is a membership-based organization. By joining WESA, you will be helping to provide valuable support for these youth education initiatives.
Hi everyone, my name is Daniel Fisher and I'm going to be your guide this afternoon. I'm looking really forward to taking you through and showing you all the beautiful places here at andBeyond Ngala. If you have any questions, please register on our website. Once registered, go to the live page feed and post your questions underneath the live feed. Join me on my next safari through andBeyond Ngala on WildEarth. Send me live questions through the WildEarth website and I'll answer them live from the African bush.
Look at this, the little one is up and about. Certainly hasn't had enough milk at this age. No amount of milk is enough. Oh, Corky. Too sweet. Oh, look at this. That is stunning.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
So an impala snorted in the distance, and now the giraffe stopped feeding. He's just standing up, listening and looking. It's always interesting how the animals, they do listen to each other. And sometimes we'll find predators from giraffes kind of just staring. If you see a whole bunch of giraffes all staring in one direction, it can often mean that there's some sort of predator lying down. Oh, watch his throat. I just saw him swallow. If he pulls up some more cud there, did you see it come up? Did you see it come up, Darren? Yeah. So it's like the grass goes down an elevator. You might get another one. You might see it go down his neck. Did you see it come back up? It would be very cool if there was a sound when that happened. It's amazing. Someone asked, I'm really sorry, I can't remember who asked, but someone asked about elephants sleeping the other night. But giraffes hardly sleep. Like, the range is between 10 minutes and 2 hours per day. So of the mammals that we see out here, they've probably got the shortest sleep requirements of any mammal. Which is crazy to think they can operate on such little sleep. I mean, you just start thinking, why could that be? It could be, when they do lie down, they are very, very vulnerable. So maybe that's why they don't sleep very often. I think Dazza just captured that perfectly. The cud coming back up the neck. I can hear something down on our left where he's looking. I'm glad you all managed to see it going up the throat. This is amazing little... It's so cool when you can see it happen. So I could hear something fairly large walking through the bush to our left, but I can't see anything. It's not impossible that there's another giraffe there. It is a very cool stare with those big, massive black eyes, those beautiful eyelashes. It reminds me of my daughter. I don't know, she for some reason has got the most ridiculous eyelashes. So looking at the giraffe is funny. It does remind me of little Amelia at home. Maybe she's going to feed on thorny bushes as she gets older. He's got a rip in his ear there. That could be from a branch or maybe a thorn bush or even from a necking bout with another male. Yes, those eyelashes are insane. It's hard to look very clever when you're chewing like that. Just pulverizing those leaves. But from this beautiful giraffe, myself, Darren, and the other guides would love to say thank you very much for joining us. We'll see you this afternoon for another adventure